السلام عليكم ورحمة الله والحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وبارك عليه وسلم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, inshallah today we're going to be talking about Islam and how Islam is a religion of moderation, and how is Islam against and fighting extremism and violence. If you read in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, everything that He's mentioning and ordering us to do, He's ordering us to be moderate in everything. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَاكُمْ أُمَّةً وَسَطًا. And thus we have made you a medium nation. We made you a balanced nation. We're not to the extreme right, we're not to the extreme left. We're in between. And that's the Muslim nation, all of it has to be in the middle. And if you look at all the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in everything that we do, without even knowing the verse or without knowing the hadith of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, anything in Islam, think medium, that will be Islam, without knowing anything. So if you take in prayer, when we do prayer, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, وَلَا تَجْهَرْ بِصَلَاتِكَ وَلَا تُخَافِتْ بِهَا وَابْتَغِي بَيْنَ ذَلِكَ سَبِيلًا. And offer your salat, your prayer, neither in a very loud voice, nor in a low voice, but follow a middle way between. Even in our prayer, so you can, if you're standing and doing salah, and you're one of those people that scream in his salah, so the person in the last row can hear you, this is not what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala expects from us. And if you're doing it, you're the imam and people are behind you, and you're doing it at a very low voice, people cannot hear you, this is not what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is expecting from you. Allah is expecting the medium, the average, to be moderate. And even in our behavior, how we behave, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَاقْصِدْ فِي مَشْيِكَ وَاغْضُضْ مِنْ صَوْتِكَ. And be moderate in your walking. So don't walk like you own the whole world. You're king of the hill. You're walking like, nobody is better than me. And at the same time, don't walk putting your head down and looking like, person defeated. That's not the Muslim. We are in between. We walk moderate. And then he's saying, and lower your voice. That's why it kind of surprised me when you go to the airport, some people are talking on the cell phone and everybody in the airport can follow the conversation. Why is that? This is ugly. When you're talking, just have a low voice. That's a part of being a Muslim. Muslim, wherever he is, people look at him and say, MashaAllah, I would like to be like him. Because he's moderate. Nobody will disagree with a moderate person. If you're in extreme, some people will hate you and some may like you. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even in our diet, in the way we eat, He's saying, وَكُلُوا وَاشْرَبُوا وَلَا تُسْرِفُوا إِنَّهُ لَا يُحِبُّ الْمُسْرِفِينَ. And eat and drink and be not extravagant. Surely He does not love the extravagant. So even when you're eating, He's saying eat, enjoy the food, but don't go to the extreme. Some people, they eat until there is no room to breathe, and then dessert comes. Oh, and my God, all of a sudden, they start to push things left and right to make room for dessert. And then after dessert, now we have some drinks, and that's not the Muslim. Muslim is not a person that go to extreme even in his eating and all of that. Eat and drink. Allah is saying, enjoy it. I created everything on earth for you, human being. So enjoy it, but don't be extravagant. If you look at unfortunately, I read some statistic that was kind of disappointing. Some Muslim countries, the waste that's placed, the food waste that's placed in trash is 45% of the food they buy. Do you believe that? And at the same time, we hear about Muslim countries, people are starving. They can't find food. And some other country, 45% of the food goes to the trash. This is unbelievable. It's because when they invite people for dinner, you have 4 people coming for dinner, but you want to show off, so you do food for 40. Why? So I can impress you. What about impressing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? I'll think about it later. So they focus on impressing you. And now the dinner is over. What are they going to do with all that food? Throw it in the trash. And the Prophet ﷺ, consistent with the same message, he's saying, no man fills a container worse than his stomach. A few bites that keep his back upright are sufficient for him. If he has to, then he should keep 1/3 for food, 1/3 for drink, and 1/3 for his breathing. So a Muslim should never get up from eating saying, I'm stuffed. That's not the Muslim. You never get up and say, I'm stuffed, I cannot eat anything more. No, you have to leave room for breathing. And that's a part of maintaining health. And as a matter of fact, that's a part of reducing the amount of disease that people get. Too much food causes a lot of things. And too much food make you having difficulty getting up to do salah. You're sleepy. How you're going to wake up in the Fajr? No way. You're stuffed and you want to sleep and you want to, have fun. So you forget about the Fajr. You forget about getting up to do salah. And even in spending, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَالَّذِينَ إِذَا أَنفَقُوا لَمْ يُسْرِفُوا وَلَمْ يَقْتُرُوا وَكَانَ بَيْنَ ذَلِكَ قَوَامًا. They are those who are neither wasteful nor stingy when they spend, but they keep to a just balance between those two extremes. That's what Allah is calling, those are the servant of Allah. When they spend, but they're not wasteful. And at the same time, when they spend, they don't say no. So they don't make their family miserable. They don't want to spend a penny. And their children look at all their friends and say, we wish our parents spent some money on us. And at the same time, when they spend, they don't be wasteful. And there is other people who are in need of that money. Allah gave you that money and He's entrusting you with that money. And on the day of judgment, He's going to ask you about every penny. How did you spend it? Oh, I spent $1,000 because I wanted to impress my friend. I wanted to show him I'm rich. And what you didn't spend on your children, well, I love the money so much, I made their life miserable. Allah is going to ask you about every penny. How did you spend it? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in another verse, He's saying, ولا تجعل يدك مغلولة إلى عنقك ولا تبسطها كل البسط فتقعد ملوما محصورا. And let not your hand be tied to your neck. This is an expression in the Arabic, which means your hand is choking you. So He's saying when you spend, don't choke yourself that you can't breathe, you cannot enjoy life. You're just making your life miserable. Allah gave you money to enjoy it in a halal way. So don't choke yourself. And then He's saying, nor stretch it forth to its utmost reach, like waste the money, so that you become blameworthy in severe poverty. He's saying either scenario, people are going to blame you. If you are a person who's stingy, does not spend money at all, your children are going to hate you. They are going to blame you for their miserable childhood. And at the same time, if you're wasteful, your children are going to hate you because you're leaving nothing for them. If you die when you're young, who's going to take care of them? So either way, they're going to blame you. And then He's saying, and to stay in severe poverty. Because if you're rich and you're stingy, you're like a poor. You have all that money, but you're not enjoying it. You're living, wearing your clothes that has holes in them, all of that. not because you don't have money, it's because you're stingy. So you're going to be a poor person even though you have money. And the Prophet ﷺ said in a hadith, the most pleasing of actions to Allah is that which is done continuously, consistently, even if it is little. So he's telling us the secret even in our good deeds that we do. The secret is moderation. That's the secret. And consistency. Do it regularly. Some people, they will wake up one day and say, I'm going to salli 100 rak'ahs today. And they salli that. But then for the next 6 months, they don't salli anything. Allah wants you to be moderate. If you can do only 2 rak'ahs, but you can do them every day, Allah will love you for that. Better than if you do 100 today and nothing for 6 months. So Allah wants you to be moderate, even in the good things that you do. If you can help somebody by giving them some money, Allah will love it. Then you give somebody a lot of money, and then after that you ignore everybody. So moderation, Allah would like to see that. Now let's talk about violence and extremism in Islam. Islam is a religion that fights violence and extremism. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, لا تغلوا في دينكم. Do not exceed the limits in your religion. That's an order from Allah. You should not be an extremist in your religion. You cannot say, I'm going to make everything miserable. Some sheikh, when you talk to them, everything they will make it hard for you. They feel if they don't make it hard, then it's not Islam. But if they make it hard, they feel, that's the right way. I've seen a person taking people and going to do Hajj. And when he went to the Hajj, he made people walk the whole time, going from Mecca to Arafat, to Muna, to Muzdalifah, all the time walking. Why you're doing that? Oh, so we can be close to Allah. Allah doesn't want that. Allah expects what's in your heart. That's what counts. It's not that you make yourself miserable. That's what's going to please Allah. The Prophet ﷺ, one time when he was going to the Hajj, and it was one time, he saw a person being carried by 2 strong men. And that person was walking, his feet just touching the ground. He was making just a line in the sand. So he told them, what are you doing? He said, he made an oath that he's going to go to Hajj walking. And he's too old, he cannot walk. So the Prophet ﷺ told them, put him on an animal, mount him on a camel. Allah doesn't benefit from his misery. Put him on a camel. So making things miserable to people, that's not what Allah wants. Allah does not like extremism in everything in Islam. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ بِكُمُ الْيُسْرَ وَلَا يُرِيدُ بِكُمُ الْعُسْرَ. Allah desires ease for you, and He does not desire for you difficulty. And we can see that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered us to do prayer, when the Prophet ﷺ went in the Isra and Mi'raj, Allah ordered him to do 50 prayers. But why do you think Allah reduced it to 5? Because Allah wanted to make it easy for us. Allah wanted to give us a message. Islam is not an extremist religion. If it is an extremist religion, he would have left it 50 salah every day. But he said, no, reduce it to 5. I want to make it easy. Islam is an easy religion. And the Prophet ﷺ said, religion is easy. Very simple word, summarize the whole thing. Religion should not make your life miserable. That's not Islam, that's extremism. Islam makes your life easy, makes your life better, makes you more successful, make you have better relationship with other people, and obviously better relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As-Sayyida Aisha radiallahu anha, the wife of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, she said, whenever the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam was given a choice between 2 matters, he would always choose the easier, as long as it was not sinful to do so. But if it was sinful, he was most strict in avoiding it. So anytime the Prophet ﷺ is given a choice between two things, he takes the easy. And it has nothing to do only with religion, with anything in his life. Two choices, always the easy. Some people, two choices, which one is more difficult? That's the one I want. So that's Islam. Everything has to be easy. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us not to be going to extreme, even in spending. So Allah is saying, وَآتِ ذَا الْقُرْبَ حَقَّهُ وَالْمِسْكِينَ وَابْنِ السَّبِيلِ وَلَا تُبَذِّرْ تَبْذِيرًا إِنَّ الْمُبَذِّرِينَ كَانُوا إِخْوَانَ الشَّيَاطِينَ وَكَانَ الشَّيْطَانُ لِرَبِّهِ كَفُورًا. Give relatives their due, and the needy, and the travelers, and do not squander your wealth wastefully. Do not waste your money. Surely the squanderers are the brothers of Shaitan, and Shaitan is ever ungrateful to his Lord. So if you look at it, Allah is saying the people who are extremists in their spending, wasting money and all of that, He's giving them the worst description that you can give to a Muslim. That's the biggest insult to a Muslim. You are the brother of Satan, of Shaitan, when you are wasteful, because you're disobeying Allah. So when you go to extremism in your spending, then in that case, you are the brother of Shaitan. You should be moderate. And we have to understand, waste is different from one person to another. So waste, there is no rule for waste. What is waste for you may be normal for me. What is waste for him may be normal for you. Because if each person is different. So if somebody, go and spend $10 on a hamburger and he has in his pocket $500, that's not waste. But if all you have in your pocket is $10 and you go spend $10 on a hamburger, that's waste. So everything is relative. There is no rule that says this is what waste is. It depends on your condition. There was three young companions. One day they were sitting together and they were saying, you know what? The way we are behaving and the way we are doing our Islam, there is no way we are going to be with the Prophet ﷺ in paradise. We don't do enough. So what are we supposed to do? So one of them said, I will pray at night and never sleep. The other said, I will fast and never break my fast. And the third one, he said, I will never marry women, because he thought having a wife and children is going to distract him from Allah. So I'll never marry. The Prophet ﷺ heard about that. So one day he saw them and he said, are you the people who said such and such and such? They said, yes, Messenger of Allah. So he said, by Allah, I fear Allah more than you do, and I am most obedient and dutiful among you to Him. But still I observe fast and break it, perform salat and sleep at night, and take wives. So whoever's turned away from my sunnah does not belong to me. So anyone who goes to extremism, the Prophet ﷺ in this hadith is saying, you are not one of my followers. You're following something else, not the message of Islam, not the message of the Prophet ﷺ. This is what Islam is, moderation, not extremism. There was one of the companion, his name is Salman al-Farisi, went to visit another companion, his name Abu Darda. When he went to visit him, he met the wife of Abu Darda, and he saw her, she was wearing very bad clothes, torn clothes with all kind of holes in them. And he looked at her and said, why are you dressed like that? Because he knew that Abu Darda, his financial condition is not bad. So she said, your brother Abu Darda, he's thinking of the hereafter and he refused to do anything regarding this life. So we're eating barely enough food for me and my children. We don't buy clothes. We don't have anything. In other words, we're living a miserable life. So Salman al-Farisi, he sat and Abu Darda went and got him some food. And he said, eat. So Salman said, are you going to eat with me? He said, no, I'm fasting. He said, I will not eat until you eat. Break your fast and eat with me. So he broke his fast because there is orders in Islam about the guest. So he broke his fast and ate with him. Then he went to bed. A couple of hours after they went to bed, Abu Darda got up and he wanted to do salah. So Salman looked at him and said, what are you doing? He said, I'm going to do salah. He said, no, sleep. He said, I want to do prayer for Allah. He said, sleep. So he went to bed and slept until before the Fajr. Salman woke up Abu Darda and said, let's pray Fajr. After they finished, Salman said to Abu Darda, he said, your body has rights over you. Your Lord has rights over you. Your guest has rights over you. Your wife and children have rights over you. That is why you should fulfill the rights of the Lord of the rights. In other words, give everybody their rights. Abu Darda did not argue with Salman. That's the beauty of the Muslim in that time. It's not, you're ignorant, you don't know anything, I know more than you. No, they respect each other. And he went to the Prophet ﷺ and he said, this is what happened and this is what Salman said to me. The Prophet ﷺ said, Salman is right. So extremism, even in obeying Allah, in doing good deeds to Allah, Allah doesn't like it. Allah wants us moderate. He wants us to have a balance between our life and enjoying this life and doing our duties to Allah. He wants balance, not extremism. And then even when we're dealing with non-Muslims, when we're dealing with them, Allah expect us to be moderate. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, ادعوا إلى سبيل ربك بالحكمة والموعظة الحسنة وجادلهم بالتي هي أحسن. Invite mankind to the way of your Lord with wisdom and beautiful preaching and argue with them in the best manner. So even when we're inviting people, that's why there is nothing called forcing somebody to become a Muslim. Even the Prophet ﷺ couldn't force anybody to be a Muslim. All he has to do is talk to people in a beautiful manner and in a gentle way, but nothing more than that. And if you're going to argue, you argue in the best manner, not even just regular argument. No, best manners. You say, but he answered back and he was rude to me, he insulted me. That's none of your business. Your business, Allah is saying, you argue with them in the best manner. Whether he responds to you in an evil way, that's not your business. Allah is going to give you a reward accordingly. And Allah will give you justice. If he insulted you, Allah will give you justice. Don't worry, because you're following the orders of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's why in Islam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لا إكراها في الدين. There is no compulsion in religion. And he's saying as well, لكم دينكم ولي دين. To you your religion and to me my religion. We don't have in Islam that you force somebody to become a Muslim. That's why it's extremely funny when you hear the non-Muslims say Islam spread in the world with the sword. It sounds ridiculous. If you read the Quran, you took the sword and you held somebody who's a non-believer and you have the sword above his head and you say, I want you to become a Muslim. He say, okay, I'll become a Muslim. What do you want me to believe in? Allah says there is no compulsion in religion. There is no force somebody to in religion. Wait a minute. You're holding the sword and then you tell me believe that there is nothing to be forced to be a Muslim? So it doesn't make sense. But anybody who want to attack Muslim, they count on non-Muslim. They don't know really the truth about Islam. So they spread lies because nobody understands different. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's talking about the servant of Allah, the servant of the most gracious, Abadur Rahman. One of the things He's saying about them, وَإِذَا خَاطَبَهُمُ الجَّاهِلُونَ قَالُوا سَلَامًا. And when the ignorant address them, they say peace. What Allah is saying, when somebody foolish address you with bad words, he humiliates you, he insults you, all of that, He's saying the people of Islam who are at the higher level, not the regular Muslim, the one who are at a higher level, whenever they answer back those bad words, they say peace. In other words, they don't escalate. You don't insult me, I'll insult you back. You punch me, I'll punch you twice. No, that's not those people. Those people are a higher level of Muslim. So whenever somebody harm them, say bad words to them, they say peace. We're not going to start aggression. We're not going to fight with you. And even in Islam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying in our relationship with our spouse, with our friends, with our children. Some people, their relationship with their spouse or children or friends, you are always critical of them. You're always telling them, this is bad, this is evil, I don't like this, I don't like that. And some others, they just ignore everything. They let you do whatever haram, whatever, and all of that because they love you. The Prophet ﷺ is saying, love the one whom you love in moderation. Perhaps one day he will be one whom you hate, and hate the one whom you hate in moderation. Perhaps one day he will be one whom you love. So he's saying, be moderate. Some people, when they love, they become blind. They can't see anything. And that's why you hear that American expression, love is blind. And when love is blind, you start to commit haram. Because the person you love want this. Then you don't think of Allah. You're blind. So you do whatever it takes to make that person happy. And the same thing, some people, when they hate, they go to the extreme. So they start to say bad words about the person, spread lies, do everything they can to destroy that person. So if one day you find that person, he was innocent, and he didn't do all the things that you thought, it's going to be hard for you to come back and love that person. So he's saying, be moderate. Don't go to the extreme in your love, and don't go to the extreme in your hate. Be moderate. Then you're going to be safe. And the Prophet ﷺ, one of his companions, his name is Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas. He was sick, seriously sick, and he thought he's dying. So the Prophet ﷺ went to visit him. So when he came to visit him, he said to the Prophet, O Allah's messenger, may I will all my property in charity? All his money. He was a rich man. He said, can I give all my money to charity? This is something good. Giving to the poor. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, no. He said, then may I will half of it? The Prophet ﷺ, he said, no. He said, 1/3? He said, yes, 1/3. Yet even 1/3 is too much. So even in doing a good deed, charity, Islam does not want you to be an extremist. We're against extreme in Islam because you give all your money to charity. What about your children? Allah gave you money and they have rights. So Allah doesn't want you to be an extremist in anything you do, even in you doing good deeds in charity. And one of the biggest source for us to do extreme things is shaitan. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, الشيطان يعدكم الفقر ويأمركم بالفحشاء والله يعدكم مغفرة منه وفضلا. Shaitan threatens you with poverty and orders you to commit evil deeds. And Allah promises you forgiveness from Himself and abundance. So shaitan, that's one of his methods to get you to go to do extremes. He comes and tells you, you know what? You're going to be poor. So what should you do? Maybe you should steal. Because you're going to leave your children that much money? Life in the Silicon Valley is so expensive. Why don't you steal so you can leave them some money? Why don't you cheat so you leave them more money? Why don't you not pay zakah? Because if you pay zakah, your money is going to be less. It's a common sense. So he promised you all the things and you start to become an extremist, not follow Islam. And Allah is saying, you follow Islam, you follow my orders, not only I'm going to forgive you, I'm going to give you a lot in this life. A promise from Allah. So don't be afraid. Follow moderation. Follow the orders of Allah. He's promising He's going to give you a lot. Not just a little bit more, a lot. Abundance, He said. I'll tell you a funny story. It's not a true story. That when we were growing up, they used to tell us that story to give us an idea about extremism. A big sheikh who's famous for being an extremist, he was sitting in a masjid and he has all the students around him. A person came to him and he said, "Oh sheikh, what is the rule of Islam if a dog urinate on the wall of a house? What is the rule of Islam?" So the sheikh said to him, "If he does that, you have to destroy the house." So the man said, "Can't we just remove those little bricks that he urinated on and put new ones?" No. You have to destroy the house. Okay, what about we destroy the house and wash those bricks and build the house again? No. Those bricks, you dig a hole in the ground and you throw them in the ground and you cover it with dirt. What about if we can sell those bricks and take the money and buy new bricks? No. The money will be haram. You have to get rid of all of the bricks and all of that. He said, "So there is no other way?" He said, "No, there is no other way." So the man looked at the sheikh and said, "I wanted to tell you, I saw a dog urinate on the wall of your house." So the sheikh said to him, "Just a little bit of water will clean it." That's extremist people. They always make everybody's life miserable. But when it comes to them, oh, no. Let's take the easy way. So you have to be watchful of that. Don't let extremists direct you because you're disobeying Allah when you become an extremist. And Muslims are supposed to be tolerant of other people, of their neighbors, of co-workers, of non-Muslims. We are not extremists. We cannot say, "Oh, he's not a Muslim. I don't want to have anything to him. I'm not going to talk to him." Some sheikh, they say, if there is a non-Muslim and you meet him, don't say hello to him. Don't say salam. Who said that? If the Prophet ﷺ did that, there would not be a Muslim in this world. But he was talking to everybody. So how dare you tell people when you see a non-Muslim, don't welcome him? That's not Islam. That's extremism. Has nothing to do with Islam. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا." O mankind, we have created you from a male and a female and made you into nations and tribes that you may know each other. And He's talking to all people. He didn't say all Muslim. So us and non-Muslim. He's saying know each other. That's order from Allah. So how can you turn your back on your neighbor, on your non-Muslim co-worker? How can you do that? Then you're not obeying what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying in the Quran. And He's saying, "I created you different color, different nations, different that, so you can know each other." Like a lot of time, I know some people, I tell them, "Do you know Ibrahim?" They say, "Which Ibrahim?" "Oh, the Ibrahim, the guy from Turkey." "Oh yeah, I know him." So we can know each other. And we can learn from each other. You guys are from Indonesia. You have a lot of beautiful experience that I don't have. So while I know you well, I learn from you and you learn from me. That's what Allah wants us to do, to learn from each other, not to put walls between each other. That's not what Allah wants. I don't mean the wall between us and Mexico, but I'm talking about another wall. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لا ينهاكم الله عن الذين لم يقاتلوكم في الدين ولم يخرجوكم من دياركم أن تبروهم وتقسطوا إليهم إن الله يحب المقسطين. Allah does not forbid you with regard to those who did not fight against you on account of your religion, nor drove you out of your homes, from dealing kindly and justly with them, for Allah loves the doers of justice. If you look at this verse, Allah is talking about our relationship with non-Muslim. He's saying if somebody did not fight you because of your religion or did not kick you out of your house, deal with them kindly. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used a word, says tabarruhum. The word birr is the highest level of a relationship, and it's only mentioned in the Quran about the relationship between a child and their parents. So he's saying, when you're dealing with the non-believer, deal with them in the best manner, as long as they did not fight with you because of your religion or try to get you out of your home. And be just with them. We are not extremists. We are people of peace who would like to know everybody. And then Allah continues saying, إنما ينهاكم الله عن الذين قاتلوكم في الدين وأخرجوكم من دياركم وظاهروا على إخراجكم أن تولوهم ومن يتولهم فأولئك هم الظالمون. Allah only forbids you with regard to those who fight you for your religion and drive you out of your homes and support others in driving you out, that you make friends with them, and whoever makes friend with them, these are the unjust. Very clear, very specific. He's saying there is two groups of people. The one that fights you because of your religion, and the one that kick you out or help other people to kick you out from your home. Those are the ones you don't be friend with them. Very specific. Then anything that's not in the verse, you can be friend with them. Allah is saying that. And Allah is telling us, even when He's ordering us to be Muslim strong nation, He's saying, وأعدوا لهم ما استطعتم من قوة ومن رباط الخيل ترهبون به عدو الله وعدوكم وآخرين من دونهم لا تعلمونهم الله يعلمهم. And prepare against them all you can of power and of horses tied. Horses tied means military. To frighten the enemy of Allah and your enemy and others beside them whom you do not know, but Allah knows them. So even Islam is telling you, I want you to be strong. That's what order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Be strong economically, socially, militarily. But if you notice, when He's ordering us to be strong, He didn't say to go and attack other people. He said to frighten the enemy of Allah. Allah wants us to be strong so people stay away from us. When you are strong and powerful, people says, I'm not going to mess with them. But look at the condition of Muslims today. Everybody is going and bombing a Muslim country. Everybody. It's open season. Whoever has an airplane and a couple of bombs, you're welcome. Go. That's not what Allah is saying. Allah is saying, be strong so people will think twice before attacking you. And that's what we need to do individually. Be strong, be successful in whatever your profession is, that people will not mess with you. Whether you're a programmer, you're an accountant, you're a plumber, whatever you are, then be strong, be successful, then people will not mess with you. That's what Allah is ordering us to be. If you look at Islam and violence, the Prophet ﷺ was involved in 67 battles and expeditions. And all of them were either to defend Muslims or to prevent people who were planning to attack Muslims. All of them. Tribes that were getting ready to attack Muslims, and they didn't want to wait until they come to Medina. So they said, we'll attack them first. Because at the time of the Prophet, they had intelligence. They all gathered information to make sure that the Muslims are safe. I can't compete with that. He's going to win. So Allah, at the time of the Prophet, he had 67 expeditions. Over 8 years. You know how many people died from both sides in those 67 expeditions? 480 people. From both sides. That's it. 480. Both sides. Just I'm going to give you an example to the difference between Islam and non-Islam. World War II, it lasted 6 years. 85 million people died. 85 million. So is Islam a religion of violence? If you look at it, makes you wonder, which religion is the religion of violence? Not Islam. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَقَاتِلُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ الَّذِينَ يُقَاتِلُونَكُمْ وَلَا تَعْتَدُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُحِبُّ الْمُعْتَدِينَ. And fight in the cause of Allah those who fight against you, and do not commit aggression. Indeed, Allah does not love those who are aggressors. So even in Islam, Allah is saying, fight the one who fights you, but don't start a fight. That's Islam. And He's saying, if you start a fight, Allah does not love the aggressors. That means you're not going to get the support of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're on your own. So Allah is saying, fight back. If somebody attacks you, fight back. But if they don't attack you, don't start. And that's Islam. So Islam is not a religion of violence. This verse tells us that. It's very clear. So people who go around and say, Quran is full of violence. Quran is a violent religion. Explain that to me. If Allah is saying, do not be an aggressor, and if you are a person who attack first, I don't love you. And even after you get into war, they attacked you, and now you got into war with them. Allah says, وَإِن جَنَحُوا لِلسِّلْمِ فَاجْنَحْ لَهَا وَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ. And if they incline to peace, then incline to it and trust in Allah. So they started the war, they attacked you, and then they found out that as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered us, we are strong. So they want to back out. They said, we want to have peace. Allah is saying, if they want peace, have peace with them. But then Allah is telling us, and trust Allah. Why He's saying that? Because we don't know if when they said we want peace is because they wanted to slow us down until they get somebody to come and help them, or there is another reason. So Allah is saying, if you obey me, trust me, I'll make sure they will not be able to trick you. I'm going to help you. So don't worry. If you follow my orders, don't worry. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَمَنْ اعْتَدَى عَلَيْكُمْ فَاعْتَدُوا عَلَيْهِ بِمِثْلِ مَا اعْتَدَى عَلَيْكُمْ. And one who attack you, attack him in like manner as he attacked you. So even if you're going to attack, they fought with you, He's saying the same way. So if somebody punch you, you don't go and burn his house. Punch him back. Because Allah knows we are human beings. And a lot of time, we want vengeance. Somebody harmed me, I want to get even. That's Allah created us, He knows that. So He's saying, if somebody did something to you, do the same. That's why I don't understand when people publish cartoon making fun of the Prophet ﷺ, then people want to kill other people. That's not Islam. It has to be the same. If he pushed you, push him. If he insulted you, you can insult him. It's up to you. Even, not more. And that's why at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, the majority of the Muslims used to forgive. And they asked them, why you forgive? Because they say, I'm afraid if he punched me, I punch him back, maybe I punched him a little bit harder. Then Allah's going to ask me on the day of judgment, you punched him harder. So I don't want to get into the middle of that. I'm forgive him. But then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, yes, you can get even. But I'll tell you something that's better than that. So Allah is saying, وَالْقَاظِمِينَ الْغَيْظَ وَالْعَافِينَ عَنِ النَّاسِ وَاللَّهُ يُحِبُّ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. So He's saying when you're dealing with a transgressor, somebody who committed something harm to you, so you have three choices. After we said you can get even, but then you can restrain your anger. That's a higher level. He said bad things about you. Allah is saying you want to be better and get greater reward, control your anger. Don't be angry. Say, for the sake of Allah, I'm not going to be angry. But then He said, you want something even higher? Then in that case, forgive him. Wow. Somebody harmed you. Somebody committed something evil, injustice against you. Allah is saying, not only you're going to control your anger, but you're going to be at peace. I'm forgiving him. I'm not going to hold any grudge in my heart. Forgiven. And then he's saying there is even something even better. And that is, do something good to the person who harmed you. Just imagine that. But then you're going to be at the highest level. Highest level in rewards, higher level in Allah's love, highest level in blessing. You are in a category by yourself. So Allah is saying, even if it does that, then do something good to the person. And then he's saying, and Allah loves the people who will do something good. So just imagine if Allah loves you. You have nothing to worry about in this life or the hereafter. You got it made. And all it takes is just to do something good to the other person. And in another verse, Allah is promising if you do something good to the transgressor, He's going to make him a close friend to you. He's going to turn around his heart and He's going to make him one of your best friends. So let's talk about why we have a lot of extremism in Islam. Because that's a reality. We have a lot of extremism. The problem in Islam, anybody can take a microphone like this and call himself an imam. Anybody. He may not even know how to read or write. He may have never memorized anything in the Quran, but he comes out and say whatever he wants. And now he's an imam. And then in addition, the problem is Muslims, their religious education is getting weaker and weaker. Our religion is not as strong as before. So anybody can take something in the Quran and tell you, look, this is in the Quran, and twist it. And then you're going to tell you, this is in the Quran. So you cannot say anything. I believe you. You know better than me. Like if somebody takes in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu la taqrabu as-salah. O you who believe, do not go near prayer. If a sheikh comes and tell you, here it's in the Quran, Allah said, don't come near to prayer. So you're not supposed to pray. And if you don't know enough about Islam, you're going to say, it's true, I read it in the Quran, don't come near to salah. But if you read the rest of it, Allah is saying, وَأَنْتُمْ سُكَارَى. When you are intoxicated, when you are drunk, don't get close to salah. But if I twist the Quran, then an imam can tell you, you see, the Quran said that. Or there is a hadith that's not really, it's a very weak hadith, or it's a hadith that's not correct at all, and tells you, oh, it's a hadith of the Prophet. So that's one of the problem. Extremism is spreading because our knowledge of the religion is getting weaker. So the extremists survive on that. So let's talk about something that's representing extremism today. Everybody talks about it. ISIS. That's extremism. Everybody, when they talk about ISIS, they associate ISIS and Islam and all of that. First of all, ISIS does not represent Islam and Muslims. Why I'm saying that? ISIS are 20, 30,000 people, and this is coming out of the CIA. 20, 30,000 people. 20, 30,000 people don't represent 1.8 billion Muslim. They don't. So if you take like, some of the gangs in LA or whatever, they are more than 20, 30,000. They don't represent America. Same thing, but the media enjoy making ISIS the symbol of Islam because there is benefit for that. There is a lot of financial gain in that. But the same thing, if you tell the non-Muslim, what about the KKK, the Ku Klux Klan? They are extreme right Christians. Are they representative of all Christians? They say no. But ISIS is representative. So the same thing, you cannot consider the KKK as representative, the people who are promoting violence against black, against Jews, and killing blacks and killing Jews. They are not representative of all Christians. They are representative of a group who have criminal activities. And they are criminals. They are not considered regular Christians. And if you look at it, In the city of Oklahoma City, there was a person whose name is Timothy McVeigh. Timothy McVeigh did a bombing in Oklahoma City, and he killed 168 people. And he was an extreme right Christian. Does he mean he represents Christianity? No. Same thing in Norway. There was a guy with the name of Anders Breivik. He killed 77 people in Norway. He was an extreme right Christian. Does he represent Christianity? No. It's not because he is Christian, then everyone who is criminal, then he's representing a particular religion. Same with Jews, same with any religion, same with Buddhists. There is Buddhists who are killing Muslims in Myanmar, Burma. Does it mean that all Buddhists are evil? No. That group of people are evil, but not everybody. Same thing with ISIS. But we should not let the media make us defend ourselves all the time, that, oh, we have to defend ourselves. We're not ISIS. No, you're a Muslim, and you have nothing to do with ISIS. And if you look at it on the other side, for everyone that ISIS killed who is non-Muslim, they killed more than 500 Muslims. For everyone. But nobody mentioned the others. Everybody mentioned the one non-Muslim who died. What about the 1,000? Look at Europe now. Millions and millions of refugees, Muslim refugees. It's so horrible. Going everywhere and everybody kicking them out and mistreating them and doing all kind of inhumane things to them. That's ISIS. How come you don't associate that with ISIS? So don't let anybody fool you by making you have the impression that ISIS has anything to do with Islam. Not even the media. But ISIS, there is 3 groups of people that they target. And I want to share that with you. The same thing was said by the CIA. The 3 group of people that they target, the first one is the young people. The second group is new Muslim converts. The reason for that, most of those people are not religiously educated. So ISIS, they come in and talk to you. The guy looks nice, has a nice beard and all of that, and tells you all kind of nice word. And this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and this is what the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam said, and tells you all kind of things, and try to convince you that follow us. But it's because they are not religiously educated. So it's very important, those 2 group of people, that we pay attention to them and be their support group. Be there for them, always for the young people, for the new Muslim convert. Talk to them, be their friends, be the person that they come and ask you, does the Islam say this? Then they're going to hear from you a moderate answer. But if all they can hear is an extremist answer, they're going to think, maybe that's Islam. So I'm going to follow it. The third group that they go after is what they call disenfranchised. People who are pushed away. Like you are a boy and you're a Muslim and everybody tells you, you're not cool, I don't like you and all of that. ISIS comes to them and they say, we love you. You're the kind of guy we like you. You are our hero. We want you to come with. And a lot of the people do the same. And it's not only applicable to ISIS, it's applicable to all religion extremism. If you look at, remember the Columbine shooting that happened in Colorado? The person that did the Columbine shooting, those people that did the Columbine shooting, they were kicked out. They were not in mainstream. People didn't want to be friends with them. So they were isolated. So they fought back by killing people. Same thing in Sandy Hook. They did the same thing. So always you have to be careful that don't let your children, if they are isolated, be close to them. Listen to them. What are they doing? Be close to your children. And the Prophet ﷺ said in a hadith, the wolf only eats the lone sheep. That's what the wolf. So if your child is isolated from everybody, find out why. Make sure that he has friends. Maybe some other Muslim friends, ask them to come and join him. And if your child is the cool guy and somebody asks you, please come and be friend with my son, help. You should help. Don't say, no, he's not cool, I don't like him. Help. So try to help each other. We need to be a close community, close-knit community. Help each other. And we have to understand, first and foremost, ISIS' goal is political power and financial power. That's all they care about. They don't care about Islam. They don't care about anything. All they care about is that they have a president or a kingdom or whatever you want to call it, and a lot of money. That's all they care about. We have to keep our eyes and ears open and not wait until it's too late. So pay attention to your friends, your children, your community, and help them. Because if we stand close to each other, we're going to be able to win that war with ISIS. But if we are isolated, that's what helps ISIS. I'm done with my talk. And if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer it or to try to answer it. Any questions? I guess, okay. You're the first. You're opening the door. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.
My question is not really related.
Okay.
But, like as everybody knows now that Muslim Islam is very famous in the world now.
Who's that?
Muslim is very famous today.
Okay.
Yeah, in United States especially. So then I have many friends that non-Muslim. And how if they, because they know a little bit about Muslim family here, and they try to give me a salam, assalamu alaikum here, and how I react that? How I react to that salam?
You just answer back. Wa alaikum assalam. Yeah. Or probably they will not understand wa alaikum assalam. So if they say assalamu alaikum, say assalamu alaikum.
And explain, right?
I hope they will understand it. If not, tell them our greeting is peace be upon you. So our greeting is spreading peace. So answer back. Yeah. Don't follow the extremes that says when a non-Muslim greet you, they say salamu alaikum, you don't respond. No. Islam is how do you think people will like Muslim if we continue to stay away from them? How? And common sense, every human being is afraid of what they don't know. So the reason why they are successful in spreading fear against Muslim in America is because they don't know Muslims. Unfortunately, the majority of Muslims are closed community. The Indians are together, Pakistanis are together, but we don't open ourselves. And that was the difference at the time of the prophets. Like when I was talking about Salman al-Farisi and Abu Darda, Salman is coming from Persia and Abu Darda was coming from another tribe. But they were open, they were all knowing each other. And that's what Allah said. We created you tribes and nations so you know each other. So yes, you should be able to know the people. And if they ask you any question about Islam, answer. If you don't know, there is nothing wrong about saying, I don't know, I'll find out and get back to you. Some people think it's in my ego, I look bad. I look that I'm not a good Muslim. If I answer, say, I don't know. No. If you answered, I don't know, and you don't know, Allah will reward you for saying that. And then if you can go back and find the answer and share with the person the answer, nothing wrong with that. Many times I do that. Many times people ask me something. I'm not going to come up with a fatwa from my head and on the day of judgment, Allah asks me, how dare did you say that? No, I say, I don't know. I'll check. And I go and look in the books and all of that until hopefully I find an answer. I come and share it with the person. So be open with non-Muslim, particularly if you're living in this country. If we continue to be the other people, people are going to be afraid of us. And that's what it's happening now. They're afraid of us. And unfortunately, the only people who are talking about Islam are non-Muslim. The Muslims are not there anywhere. You listen to the TV and you read the newspaper, and all the Muslim experts are non-Muslim. So how do you know about Islam if you're a non-Muslim? But if they take it in any other profession, people are going to tell you you're crazy. Like if you see somebody, I'm a mechanic, and I sit and talk about medicine, people are going to tell me, are you crazy? Get out of here. But if you're non-Muslim and talk about Islam, oh yeah, he's an expert. It's really sad. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Following up with sister's question about, say, salat, there is some opinion, it might be, just opinion that you cannot say Assalamu alaikum if it is non-Muslim. So it is, it is haram to say Assalamu alaikum if it is non-Muslim. You can only say to a Muslim. Now that is easy to do, if you are dealing with a non-Muslim that you don't know. You usually just say hi, hello, because if you say Assalamu alaikum, they don't understand anyway what is Assalamu alaikum. But for the non-Muslim that live among us, that they know that you say, that is your greeting to say Assalamu alaikum, but then you don't say Assalamu alaikum to them, then they kind of feel isolated, they kind of feel that you treat them differently. Like, for example, if you meet five friends, one is non-Muslim, you say Assalamu alaikum to each of your Muslim friends, but to your non-Muslim you say hi, you don't say Assalamu alaikum. So that kind of, kind of not nice, but so how can we reconcile this?
There is in Islam, everything in Islam is built on priorities. Our number one priority in this country is to create a safe environment for Muslims. Okay? That supersedes anything. So if telling people that when they say Assalamu alaikum, you tell them Assalamu alaikum, then and that will bring harmony and get them closer to us, then in my opinion, I don't see anything haram in that. If a different story, if you're back in a Muslim place or you're walking inside a church and you walk into the church and you say Assalamu alaikum, that's a different story. But if somebody started you with greetings, then you need to answer back to them. The Quran says, وَإِذَا حُيِّيتُم بِتَحِيَّةٍ فَرُدُّوهَا. If you are greeted with a greeting, then respond to it in the same manner. Return it, as a matter of fact, it says, or something better. That's in the Quran. So if somebody greeted you, then either respond the same way or something better. So my personal opinion is that in this country, I know some people and there is some hadith that says things, but we have to understand the circumstances when this hadith was said and to who and how and all of that. So it's a different situation. We are here, do you think when the early Muslims went to Indonesia and people were telling them Assalamu alaikum, you tell them, no, you're not Muslim, I cannot tell you Assalamu alaikum, sorry. Indonesia wouldn't be a Muslim country today. And they are the biggest Muslim country in the world. It's not because Muslims said, I refuse to answer your greetings. The whole idea, we have to, when we look at everything, we have to understand the wisdom behind it. And if you understand the wisdom behind it, then we are going to be able to implement it the best way. Inshallah. Any other questions?
I'm just curious about the opposite. If like in the holiday season, sometimes you go shopping and people, you Merry Christmas. So
So is it okay to reply them like, "Oh, Merry Christmas to you too," or what is the law?
Anything that you respond in a favorable way to make people comfortable and warm about you, I don't see anything. You're not celebrating Christmas. You're not changing your religion. You're not doing anything to do haram. It's their religion. And that's why we respect all religions in Islam. There is not a religion we say, no, we don't respect Christianity, we don't respect Judaism. We respect everybody. And it says, لَكُمْ دِينُكُمْ وَلِيَ دِينٌ. To you your religion and to me my religion. But I respect you. So if you're telling me now because it's the holiday time and everywhere I go, everybody tell me, happy holidays, I'll say happy holidays to you.
One time I heard they say it's haram to say Merry Christmas.
A lot of people, as I said, the whole idea, let's not go to the extremism that we are closing door after door after door, and then we say, why they hate us? Do you have don't you understand why they hate us? Everything, he tells you, happy holiday, tell him, I don't follow holiday, this is your holiday, don't talk to me. He's trying to be nice to you. He learned that the Muslim says, Assalamu alaikum. He comes and tells you, Assalamu alaikum. Say, oh, this is only for Muslim. You're a kafir. How can we be, people who are not hated? And that's what the extremists want to have. They want to create a gap between us and the community. That's what they want. They want us to separate us from the other people, and then we wonder what they're afraid of us. Why? It's very clear why they're afraid. It's very clear why they hate Muslims. Because of those few people that are spreading a message of hate. Islam is not a religion of hate. It's a religion of love, not hate. Anything that you can do with a non-Muslim without compromising your religion is fine. That's why in another verse in the Quran, he's saying their food is halal for us and our food is halal for them. So if they invite you to go and eat, fine, as long as it's halal food. If it's halal, doesn't have pork, doesn't have any alcohol or whatever, he's saying fine, eat with them. That's how we're going to get close to each other. And that's how they're going to hear the message of Islam. Because if they meet him and they meet you and all of that, and they say, wait a minute, I hear the media all the time talking about, Muslims are evil. That's not true. I'll tell you something personally I experienced. One of my friends, he's a Jewish person. I worked with him for many years. And I knew him very well. He and his wife and all of that. Then he moved to Arizona. One day he had a family gathering. And one of his nieces was sitting and she said, Muslim are this and Muslim are evil and Muslim are... And he said, wait a minute, do you know any Muslim? She said, no. He said, I have a Muslim friend and he is very nice and he is very gentle. So don't say that about Muslim. If you know somebody who's Muslim who did that, then mention that. But you don't know, then don't repeat those things. That's how we're going to change people's hearts. If I dealt with him the way by saying, he say Merry Christmas, tell him no, I don't talk to you. I treat him evil. Oh, I don't want to see you because you're a non-Muslim. But he stood up to his whole family, and they listened to a positive message about Muslims because of my good relationship with him. Did I compromise my religion? Of course not. I never did anything haram because to me my relationship with Allah is more important. But at the same time, my relationship with him is guided by Allah. Allah told me be kind to him, be nice to him, be gentle with him. And it pays off. Any other questions? Please. Alaykum as-salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Let's have a question about your, what you tell us about the Muslim quality, about us, our quality. Like how, from which priority we should start to increase our quality as a Muslim right now, as in your, maybe, now maybe for us here, but maybe in general in Muslim all over the world, what is the first, like, which is the first priority? What is the second priority? Because, yeah, this is the right now the reality that Muslims are not strong. That's why we are becoming like a cake on the table that is like the wolves take from all directions. So how will we start to increase the quality of the Muslims and Muslim knowledge?
Okay. You heard the question. Okay. The number one important thing is start with yourself. As I said earlier, everything in Islam is priority. So number one priority is yourself. Yourself, there is several things because the question you ask can take hours to answer. So we don't have hours. But I'll tell you in summary. The first thing to do, whatever you do, be the best you can in what you're doing. Whatever. You're a programmer, be the best programmer you can. You are a doctor, be the best doctor. You're an accountant, be the best accountant. Whatever you do. You're a housewife, be the best housewife you can. That's number one. That's how you're going to become a strong individual. And a strong individual is the foundation of a strong community. Number two, start with yourself improving your character. The Prophet ﷺ, his message, he summarized all Islam in a very short hadith. He said, I was sent to perfect good character. That's his whole message. Everything in Islam is to make you a better human being. Your character. Don't lie. Don't cheat. Whatever promise you make, honor your promise. Be kind. Don't use foul language. Don't do injustice to others. All the things that relate to your character. Start with yourself. Because we have a tendency as human beings, we always criticize everybody around us except us. So everybody around me, oh, he's a liar, and this guy's a cheater, and this guy is this, and this guy is that, and look at the way he's dressed, look at the way this. But we don't look at ourselves at all. So start with yourself. Do everything you can to make yourself a good human being. If I see you're a father, be the best father you can be. Obviously, you're a husband. Be the best husband you can be. So all those things start with your character. At home, don't use bad words. If you're treating your spouse, treat your spouse fairly, justly, and kindly. Because you're setting example to your children and to the children of your children and the children of your children. So everything you can, that's how we can start. As a Muslim, start with your character and start to be the best you can in what you're doing. That's an excellent way to start. And inshallah, the rest, Allah, if you take the first step, Allah will carry you to the finish line. Don't worry. But Allah wants us to take the first step. Any other questions? Okay, so I guess we're done. And صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وبارك عليه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Thank you very much, Ustad Adil, for the very enlightening speech about moderation. And I think